A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen that are present with us physically and also on the live stream. So welcome to the second debating session for the last day of MUSA General Elections 2024 Debates Week. So here with us are the candidates of General Secretary of MUSA. They are Bliss from Equitas and also Saad, who is an independent runner. So before we proceed to their opening statement, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Aaron. I'm the returning officer of MUSA General Elections 2024. So without further ado, I'd like to pass the stage to Bliss for her introduction and also her manifesto for her opening statement.
Testing. 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 1, 2, 3. All right. A very good afternoon to the returning officer, Aaron, General Secretary Guido, my opponent, Saad, and the esteemed audience members. Hi, everyone. My name is Bliss, and I'm a Year 1 semester student from the School of Pharmacy, pursuing a Bachelor of Pharmacy. I'm from the party Equitas, and it is with great honor and enthusiasm that I stand before all of you here today to run for the General Secretary of MUSA 2025. Over the past year, I have been involved in various leadership roles that have built a strong foundation for my skills in terms of responsibility, communication, coordination, and teamwork. For example, I have been the secretary for the TEDx Monash University Malaysia 2024, and my responsibilities include recording meeting minutes, facilitating some parts of the logistics, and drafting emails to participants, as well as liaising with the participants for any matters that's related to the registration and the feedback collection. I'm also honored to be one of the project directors for the Metamorphosis 6.0 Stress Relieving Workshop hosted by the MyPSA, which is the Malaysian Pharmacist Student Association, where we are very honored to be able to collaborate with different schools and accept participants from different schools. For example, Taylor's, UCSI, and some other universities as well, for a half-day stress relieving event at the MyPSA building. I'm also very honored to be one of the recipients for the Monash Pharmacy Excellence Scholarship, which indicates my dedication to education excellence. These skills and experiences, I believe, have equipped me with the suitable skills to be able to bring into MUSA. I will move on to my manifesto. So if elected as General Secretary, I will be focusing my manifesto in 3 parts. The first part is administrative excellence. So I strive to have meticulous documentation and provide proper record keeping within MUSA through utilizing documentation record-keeping methods such as Google Drive and Google Docs, which have been used quite well until now. And my goal is to provide accessibility to all members of MUSA and upholding the transparency and integrity of the documentation process. My second manifesto is a commitment to service. I aim to support MUSA in all its operations and to provide services that benefit students and to ensure that these services and initiatives are delivered promptly and with precision. My third manifesto is student development through collaboration. I aim to foster the departmental collaboration through communication and well-mannered organization in terms of the documents. I also aim to create impactful opportunities to students throughout these collaborations. And by collaboration, I mean I would try to initiate some cross-departmental projects that is benefits towards the student body. And with that, I end my opening statement. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. My fellow competitor Aaron, Ido, and everyone who is joining through the live stream. My name is Saad Haroon, and I am proud to be running as the General Secretary in the MUSA General Elections. I'm currently in my Year 1, Sem 2, and I'm pursuing my Bachelor in Business and Commerce from the School of Business. So my journey with MUSA began with serving in the MUI Secretary Subcommittee, where I directly engaged in documentation and administrative tasks, giving me hands-on experience with the internal workings of student governance. With MUIS, I have also executed multiple events including Holi, Game Wars, Jom KL, and Monash Cultural Night. Apart from my experience with MUSA, I have worked with 2 startups, giving me real-world corporate experience that did not only strengthen my adaptability, but also my problem-solving skills. It is also worthwhile to mention that I have served as the Chief Communications Officer at my previous institute in a student-run entity, where I was also awarded with Chief Communications Officer of the Year award for my innovation and my sportsmanship. This role that was similar to that of a general secretary taught me the importance of leadership and attention to detail. My candidacy in the general elections is not just about me, it's about you, the students. Every one of you brings something unique to the table, and I want MUSA to be a reflection of that diversity, where everyone's needs, concerns, and ideas are not only heard, but also acted upon. My goal is to ensure that every student feels supported, empowered, and inspired. From improving access to resources to providing more opportunities for student involvement, I want to ensure that MUSA is a place where everyone's voice truly matters. As General Secretary, I plan to improve constitutional oversight and improve the operational efficiency within MUSA. As a part of my mission to bring new initiatives and innovation, I plan to introduce monthly town hall meetings and one-on-one consultations with students because I understand the students whose concerns are not acted upon. So I want to be that person for the students and actually act upon their queries. You deserve the best support, Monash community, and I will work tirelessly to ensure that your concerns are not only heard, but also addressed. As an adaptive leader, I will prioritize stability within MUSA to ensure that we can effectively serve the student community. By cultivating an environment of resilience and flexibility, I will implement strategies that will allow us to quickly respond to emerging challenges and opportunities. This approach will help us build a strong foundation of MUSA while we work collaboratively on initiatives that will enhance student life. And above all, I want to be a friend to the student community, someone you can approach to anytime for your questions or queries. And I'll be there ready to listen and act on your queries. Together, we can build a MUSA that is stronger, more inclusive, and representative of every student here. Thank you for your time and support, and I truly appreciate the opportunity to stand before you and share my vision.
All right, so thank you so much for the opening statement from both candidates. So before we proceed to the next session, I think just a reminder to both the candidates. During the Q&A session from the students, you guys are allowed to ask each other questions regarding their manifestos, and each questions can have 1 follow-up questions. And also at the same time, for the audience that are watching this from the live stream or physical with us today, you guys can also ask your questions later during the Q&A session from the students. But for now, I'd like to invite the current General Secretary, Guido, to the stage to ask the questions to the candidates. So please give a round of applause to Guido.
Hello, Tess. Hello. Okay, hopefully both of you guys are doing well today. It's nice to have new candidates and fresh faces to the organizations coming up next year. So again, I will be asking you guys questions in turns. Yeah, there will be no same question, so it's going to be fair to both of you, and it will be mostly case study and scenario based. Why? I'm not going to argue about your manifesto. It is highly subjective, and I want to argue to the point that it leads only to subversive answers. So let's maintain objectivity and focus on your methodology, which in time it will be required for you to execute and prove. So let's begin with the first question, starting with you, Bliss, if you don't mind. So let's talk about leadership under pressure, because again, General Secretary doesn't have a partner, unlike vice presidents, division heads, to give a few examples. Yeah. So imagine the scenario. As the General Secretary, let's say you discover that 2 influential departments or divisions, let's say Finance Department and the Welfare Division, they are in conflict over a certain set of policy changes, budget allocation, and they are actively spreading misinformation between the 2 of them, between each other. So this is bad, and it creates like quote unquote a toxic environment that MUSA OBs don't want to, especially in tough times later on down the term. So again, both of these department and divisions are one of the biggest key players in MUSA, and they have a lot of public support. So going to the question now, if you do get elected as the General Secretary, can you tell me step by step, walk me through, let it out on top of your head, how do you plan to de-escalate the situation, restore trust between these office bearers as a whole, and then, quote unquote, at the end, make an informed decision regarding the result of the case?
Testing. Thank you, Guido, for the question. So, in terms of is there any conflict or disputes that happens between the departments, the first thing that we want to do as a General Secretary is to facilitate communication. So reaching out to the departments that are involved, in this case, it would be the Finance Department and the Welfare Department, right? So we will first reach out to that department heads, communicate with them, understand what is the main cause that causes the conflict or the dispute between that two departments, and record down anything that is critical to that dispute or the main reason, the core reason of that dispute. And after understanding and investigating thoroughly all the reasons behind the perspectives of different departmental heads, conduct a meeting with the relevant members who are involved in that dispute, which is the departmental heads, and also have the president come in as well. If necessary, have the honorary advisory committee come in as well in a private and closed meeting to discuss on the relevant evidences, the perspectives on how to solve this dispute. And during that meeting, it is important to remain confidential, because this kind of thing, it's not good to have it disclosed to the student body without a proper process of discussion with the president and then discussion with the departmental heads. So it's important to keep it confidential before any final decision is made. So during that meeting, remind all the members of the meeting that this is going to be confidential. Do not share any information before a final decision is made. And also during the meeting, it's also important to listen to both parties, have both department heads share their perspectives and their side of the story. Once you do that, after you do that, document down anything that is relevant to proceed on an agreed upon action. Discuss with the president as well, and to remind the departmental heads that we are working towards a common goal, and we should not deviate from our common goal of improving the student body's welfare and the student body's activities through finance, and to make sure that they remember that they are working for the betterment of the MUSA and not for their own aim of their departments. And after that, issue a general statement to the student body about the final decision made. But at the same time, we don't want to enclose too much information involving the parties involved or too much details on the discussions. We should only share the decision made, and for example, we can say, situation has been done and we have taken measures to discuss about this issue and what are our results, what have we come to this common understanding. And after that, that will be fine, that will be it. We don't want to further disclose any sensitive details. This can also maintain the confidentiality of that issue and this dispute. And after the meeting is done, after the decision has been made, it is important for the General Secretary to follow up on their current condition and to ensure that the discussion and the mediation is effective. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now I will be starting to throw curveballs. Saat, it's not your turn yet. So, yeah. So, Bliss, can you answer in one sentence, exactly one sentence only? Do you agree that sometimes efficiency is more important compared to transparency? If yes, why?
Efficiency is more important than transparency?
In certain cases, will you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
Why?
Because I think that transparency, sometimes it works it works differently to people who need to accept it. Some people might find some things that they need to know. Some people might think, okay, this thing I don't need to know. So the degree of transparency actually depends on the situation. But our overall goal is to solve the situation.
Okay, I think I stop you there, yeah, one sentence only. So I will start to throw some question on top of the initial scenario for this first question, yeah. Let's say, what if you only have 24 hours to resolve this issue? Okay, this is an imaginative scenario, yeah? And one of the departments refuse to cooperate in the case because they are claiming that our demands are more important and vice versa. How will you solve it?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. Let's say if you only had 24 hours to settle the case, all right? So it's very time limited. And let's say one of the departments are refusing to cooperate with you in the investigation because they claim that, oh, I have something more important to the case, I am more important, and vice versa. Can you explain to me briefly about it?
If one of the departments refuse to coordinate, I would firstly discuss with the president whether there is a need to issue a warning letter, because warning letters are issued to departments that do not cooperate in the MUSAs and do not fulfill their responsibilities as one of the OBs in MUSA. So if there is a need for issue of warning letter, then maybe it. And if, however, there is a need to communicate well with the departments and to remind them that this is your responsibility, you have to fulfill this. If not, then I will give you a warning letter. And if you continue to do this, then we might have to take disciplinary actions.
Is that all?
Yes.
Okay, I think you're done. Now moving on. Let's say, what if, during this mediation of yours that you're doing with the president, one of the department, let's say they are cooperating with you, both of them, and suddenly they accuse you of bias. How will you react to the situation inside a meeting, especially when you have a limited amount of time to work on it?
It's important for General Secretary to not be biased, so I can back up my points with evidence from the evidence provided by the two departmental heads. Like, okay, you mentioned this, and the other department, okay, you mentioned this, and this is what you've mentioned, and I will just record down what you have mentioned into my minutes, into my documentation, and this is what you said, and I will not. And our discussions is based on the majority of the meeting committees, and we have ended up with one solution, which is in agreement with all your opinions and all your suggestions. Thus, I've not been biased. But if you do still want to appeal, I would suggest you to go through the appealing process outlined in the MUSA Constitution, and we'll have a third party to come in and to intervene. If not, have the honorary advisory to come in and intervene.
Good answer. One last point yet to top it off for this question, and then we proceed with SAT. Let's say if one of the department, they threaten you to resign en masse. This is a rare scenario, but it may happen. They threaten you to resign if, let's say, the case and the results of the investigation didn't go in their favor. So my question is, how do you manage this quote-unquote, sort of uncontrollable fallout there, while basically you're trying to still do your job and protect MUSA's goals and objective?
If they were to ask me to resign, I would not. Definitely.
They are threatening you. If the decision didn't go in their favor, we will resign and step down from office.
Oh,
en masse.
They will resign.
Yeah.
In that case, I will still think that communication is best. I would think that, okay, you don't have to be so no, how should I rephrase this? Okay, if they were to resign, they were to threaten me that they will resign, I will work with the president. I'll work with the president to have another communication meeting with them to really ask them, do you really want to resign just based on this result that is not in your favor? Or are you just doing this out of your temper? because this is a really serious condition. And if you just resign and let go of your responsibilities based on this decision that was made with justice and fair and all the evidence given, then I would think that you are not fit for your position, and we might need to consider something else or some other alternatives to your position instead of letting you be there. Because for you to so easily say you want to resign just because of a decision that we made out of the majority votes, out of the whole understanding, I don't think you have the opportunity, you have the rights to still be in that position. So still mediate, still communicate with the president, communicate well, communicate frequently to understand the standings of both parties. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You can pass the mic over to Sad. So, Sad, moving on to the next question there. Let's talk about managing public backlash. Okay? So, assume a scenario. Just think about this in top of your head. Let's say there is an internal communication error, because this might happen within MUSA itself. So, it's internal, that leads to an accidental release of, let's say, some sensitive set of information. It can be student data, investigative records, you will never know. So again, the student body will be outraged at this here, because they are not, all of them, not privy to certain information, and suddenly it's all out. It's not good. So, and you are being pressured to respond immediately and, let's say, maybe conduct an emergency MSc just to settle this case, or maybe a conference. Who knows? So the question is, my question to you, can you explain to me, walk me through, step by step, just say it out loud, how will you address this situation, without further compromising basically the case itself and worsening the situation as a whole? How will you do it?
Okay, thank you for the question. So my first approach will be to investigate the issue, how it stemmed, where it stemmed from, and I will try to rectify it from there. As for the backlash, I will be reaching out to the president, of course, and once I'm done with that, I will be discussing the entire issue in the MSc meeting, the emergency MSc meeting.
Can you stop there? Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, can you stop for a bit?
Yeah, sure.
So you go through all of these steps, but you did not acknowledge the issue. Will you acknowledge the issue first? Will you be acknowledging that this happens, or because you went straight to investigation, so on and so forth? So
okay, so I will only go to investigate the issue if I acknowledge it. So obviously
So you were saying that you will first acknowledge it?
If there is an issue at hand and if the entire student body is highlighting it, I will acknowledge that something is happening, and then I will investigate it. And then I will talk to the team, the president, the MSc meeting, and I will discuss with them the way forward. And if the issue has been found and it was a fault from MUSA's side, I will make sure that a statement is published to the public and there is an apology.
Can I add something on top of that? So this is the first of 4 curveballs that I will throw at you. So the first one is, do you agree? And if yes, tell me why, briefly, please. That sometimes not everything has to be acknowledged and basically be laid out in front of everyone to judge and see. Do you agree with this or not? And if you do agree, give me an example.
I do agree with you. Just to clarify, with acknowledging, I mean I acknowledge that there is an issue that the students are highlighting. I'm not acknowledging the issue itself. Once I have acknowledged that there is an issue that is in question, I will be investigating it with the MSc.
No, my question is, do you agree if there at some point there are certain things that shouldn't be acknowledged and laid out in mass to the public? Do you agree to this or no?
I do agree, because at times there are something confidential things that we cannot publish to the public. So yeah, I do agree with you.
Okay, all right. So moving on, let's throw another curveball on top of this. Just keep that in mind. What if, Satya, you are asked to take the fall, to take full responsibility, because you acknowledge it in the first place, right? And even though it wasn't totally your fault, you are being framed for it. It leads to maybe potential issue, backlash, who knows? And my question to you is, how will you handle the situation? what is your behavior against these kind of situations? Explain to me.
Okay, so first I will assess myself in the situation if I was really at fault. For myself, I will gather evidence and I will speak with the student council, the president, and I will try to resolve it within the council itself. And I will make sure that there's no issue from my end that I have to acknowledge. I don't do such things in the first place. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Do you think it's fully sustainable, always taking the fall at every single time, like you say just now? Do you think it's sustainable?
I don't think because you're not always at fault.
So there are other ways to do it.
So if you are at fault, then I would say 100% you should acknowledge it. But if you're not, I would say it's not.
Okay, so another one on top of this, if you don't mind. Do you agree sometimes that cases like this requires you to address it using some sort of institutional solutions? Do you agree with that?
Could you please elaborate on institutional?
Internal policy changes that requires rapid deployment and with utmost precision, if given a chance to do so. Do you agree sometimes that you have to do this?
Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. So do you agree if sometimes then, okay, I will then use the term institutional because I think it's quite confusing for you. So do you agree that sometimes, yes, you have to deploy rapid changes, clauses, change in policy under a very limited amount of time period, and it requires the utmost precision? Do you agree that things like this needs to be done at maybe some kind of crisis? If yes, why? If no, why?
So I think the policies we have in place, they should be exercised in case there is a crisis like such. But if need requires, then we should come up with policies, even if there is a limited amount of time. And if need be, we can call an emergency MSC and pass a motion and approve the policy if need be.
So one last curveball on top of this. Let's say confrontation, okay? How will you handle a confrontation, with a student who blames you personally, okay, in front of the MSc during a conference?
Okay, so I believe in active listening. So I would definitely listen to the students. If we're accusing me, I would ask for evidence against me that they have. And yeah, I will try my best to address any objections they have against me. And I will try to help them and resolve the issue. And I will explain to the MSc as well with my side and the evidences that I will have from my side.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Now, can you give the mic back to Bliss? Okay, so Bliss, moving on to the next question. It's about conflict of interest, ethical dilemma. Okay, so assume a scenario again. Let's say you discover that a close friend of yours is running for a MUSA office bearer position in an election. It can be a by-election, it can be an annual election, it doesn't matter. So the case is, during the election process, Bliss, let's say allegations of rule violations surface against them. So it pops up out of nowhere. So you are the only one with the right, let's say, at this given time, with the authority to investigate. You're the only person to do this. And given that this person is your friend, so it leads to this question. So how will you ensure a fair investigative procedure and processing, basically, given your connection to this person and any potential subconscious bias that you might have while addressing the case? Can you walk me through step by step?
Okay, let me thank you for the question. Let me just clarify some things with you. Is the president free also, or is just fully dependent on me?
I think the question is quite clear. It's only you
only
at this
me.
given time. It's very specific.
All right. Then definitely we'll still need to have a communication and meeting with both parties, which is the party that's being accused of the allegation, which is also my friend, and the party who is giving out the allegation, which is the report as well. Have both parties come in to the office, and I'll have an interview with both parties to let them say out their perspectives, let them lay out the evidence that they're proving that my friend, which is the accused one, is having an allegation. However, I have to remember that has to be done with integrity and should not have any bias. So throughout this whole process, it would be documented very detailed in a meeting minute or a document that can be shared to the relevant committees or the commissions, especially when it comes to the election. Then it has to be shared with the election commission and relevant heads that are involved. And after this has been done, a general statement should be issued to the student body regarding this. And what have we done? What is the decision that has been made? And what impact has this allegation has towards the election? Does it have to be postponed? Do we have to continue, or do we have to organize another re-election in case that...
Okay. I think I have to stop you there. You're going off the track. So just keep it concise later. So I want to throw another curveball on top of this. What if, let's say, just imagine, evidence, points to their guilt, So there are a lot of evidence that points that this quote-unquote friend of yours is guilty. So the question is, other influential council members, and your fellow MUSA OBs that you also know, they are, behind the scenes, they are trying to lobby for leniency with you. So how will you handle this? How will you talk to them about this?
If that friend of mine has been proven that
he or she or they threatens you to disclose your conversations about sensitive case investigation that this person is aware of to the public, how will you handle this? How will you talk him or her out of this?
I will only disclose the relevant information to the student body. For example, like I mentioned before, what is the final decision made? And I will not disclose any further details relevant to the party, so I can reassure him that your personal information, your personal detail will not be disclosed. We will only disclose what is the result of your case and to the student body, to also prevent the student body from overwhelming information.
So you point out to objectivity then. Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can you give the mic back to Sat? So, Sat, let's talk about the next question. Let's talk about a crisis management. Okay, so imagine a scenario again. Let's say you're midway, basically you're halfway through a critical MUSA event that you are overseeing. Let's say this event, offline election debate that you are currently overseeing together with the rest of the election committee and commission. So let's assume, when a safety incident occurs, maybe a fire alarm, medical emergency, who knows, happens, and you know that the event is being live streamed and you are required to remain calm all the time to keep the event running and handle it accordingly while trying to settle the crisis. It can be challenging, right? So now the question is, if you were to be in this position, let's say, what steps would you take to ensure at least the safety and maybe the overall cohesiveness of the event throughout basically this crisis? How will you do it?
All right. So my first and foremost priority will be the safety of the candidates and all the attendees that are attending the debate. Once I have evacuated them from the venue, I will be addressing the live stream and requesting them to join the debate at a later date in case it has to get postponed. And at the same time, I will collaborate with the media team to put up stories and explain the situation and let the student community know that the debate has been postponed for now due to safety reasons.
Media.
The publicity and media department, yep.
What about your subcoms, the student volunteers that are in the event? Are you not going to utilize them?
So
why are you going straight to the, you assume control of everything, you centralize everything? Wouldn't it be overwhelming in a practical sense of thing? Don't you think?
Okay, so like I said, I will be evacuating them. They will know the issue at hand. So they will be briefed before the debate that they are supposed to let everyone know that the situation has occurred. and then they'll be evacuated from the venue. And then obviously I'll collaborate with the publicity team to put up stories.
So you do agree with my solution. It's managing the crisis at hand, then going to the publicity.
So managing the crisis at hand, because safety is the first priority, of course, and then obviously the volunteers and the MUSA members who are present, they will know the situation at hand. They will be briefed before the debate how to handle such situations. So once there is an issue, they will know what to do, and yeah.
So, okay, you do agree with my solution then. So moving on, let's throw a curveball if you don't mind. Let's say you try to reach out to campus security, maybe some of the personnel, because again, in any kind of event booking, you have to do all of those risk assessment and stuff. So let's say you reach out to them, but they have delays for reasons unknown. You definitely don't know like why they are so slow, why it's so delayed. So again, without these key elements here to help you, the security, to make sure that at least you have sufficient manpower to handle it alongside your committee lah. So knowing this issue, how would you still maintain authority over the situation, knowing that help wouldn't come out from the outside?
Okay, so just to confirm, the guards are not available and there's a safety hazard during the debate, right?
Well, can you repeat? I don't get what you're trying to say.
So you're saying the guards are not available and there's a safety hazard?
Yes, they are very delayed for some reasons.
Okay, so since I mentioned that safety is the first priority, if the guards or security is not available, I will be reaching out to the president and then the student life department to arrange for the necessary help that is required.
Okay, good. Now, one last curveball on top of it. How would you, let's say things doesn't went out according to what you planned, to all of these safety measures, all of the basically crisis management plans that you have, and suddenly they start living in panic. So, and basically some students, they started drawing out their phones, they started covering what has been happening, and, they begin covering it basically, and it will lead to rumors and chaos. After this happens, how will you handle the crisis and basically any potential outrage that might occur after it?
Okay, so during the issue, I will have my volunteers be there to console everyone and let them know that the issue is being handled properly. Once it has been occurred, I will discuss with the MSc MUSA members and discuss a way forward and probably publish a statement. And we can use, since MUSA is really big, we can use the members for word of mouth communication and let everyone know that MUSA has handled the situation well.
Is it sustainable?
I would say yes, because the issue is being so the student body is being informed how the MUSA has catered to the entire issue and how they have arranged necessary help.
Okay, thank you, Sad. Can you pass the mic over again? So, okay, moving on to the next question. I hope you guys are still fresh and ready. So let's talk about representation and fairness in a key event. So, Bliss, let's say during the election, let's say there's a scandal, okay? So where you are required to handle a certain amount of damage control, quote unquote. So let's imagine the scenario. Let's assume, halfway through the election, there are accusations, surface, that a leading candidate and his party, basically, has been involved in some unethical campaigning tactics, blackmailing, comparison, and basically all of those stuff that is not allowed by the election regulations. So the evidence is unclear. This is the problem. But the candidate is gaining a lot of public support. So this is also a problem, right? So you are responsible for investigating this, without, if possible, disrupting the election flow. So the question is, knowing that even though the evidence is unclear but compelling, how will you manage the investigation while you're trying to ensure fairness and transparency in this current midway of the election, basically? it's ongoing. Yeah. So how will you do it?
Firstly, of course, we have to investigate. But before that, I would want to acknowledge that there is this situation happening to this certain party and the party leader. Make this an acknowledgement aware to the student body. Maybe you can issue a general statement saying that this certain party has a situation going on, and we are taking measures to investigate and taking measures to understand what is happening in this accusation and in this party leader. And after that, immediately go into the investigation, have the president, have the election committee come in as well, have the party leader who is involved come in as well, have a short meeting, giving the party leader the evidence that we have found throughout the investigation, have the party leader give us his perspective of the issue. And if the discussions ended with the party leader is actually guilty of that accusation, then we have to take necessary disciplinary actions to maybe disqualify him, even though he has a lot of support from the student body. But our whole aim of the election is to maintain fairness and transparency. So we will not allow any cases like this to happen. And after that, after the investigation is done, the discussion has done, issue another statement to the student body saying that we have investigated this certain party, and we have come with an agreed upon action that we will disqualify this person from his candidacy. And however, the overall election will still continue, and it will not affect the overall election. His position will be contested on the next election, or if there is another candidate, then we will just proceed with the election.
Okay, good. So let's throw another curveball on top of that. Let's say because this candidate is popular, like I mentioned in the case, what if this person threatens to escalate the situation? Basically, this person doesn't give in to all of these measures that you just laid out to me, and this person threatens to escalate the case and maybe sue you and the department and raise it up all the way to student life, unless you clear them before the voting period ends. So they are trying to start a controversy that may lead to a lot of problem because this person is a popular person. How will you handle the situation and get out of it at least, firm and solid lah? Try your best at answering this.
Firstly, I will not allow any changes to the decision that is made after the meeting. Everyone should agree to the decision made, and whatever appeal that you have made to after the meeting should be done through official ways, through the MUSA election regulation, and should not be accountable to anything which is private or threatening cases. And if necessary, we will need the intervention of the Honorary Advisory Committee or the intervention of Student Life if necessary, or the Monash administrative people if necessary. And just to remind him or her that we will not accept any threatening, and the election will still go on with transparency and fairness.
So your solution is basically to counter-escalate the situation.
Of course, it would be best if we can communicate well and stay on the same ground that, okay, we don't want to ruin this election. We hope for your coordination and cooperation. That would be best.
Okay, one last curveball on top of it, and before we pass it later to Sat. Let's say, because this person is very popular, a large portion of MUSA, the student body, began to question the credibility of the election committee's decision. They began to question you, they doubt you. So it leads to a loss of trust, just to mention one of the possible fallout that may happen. So, but that's not the question. But the question is, how do you restore trust after the case ends, basically? When it's over, like, how would you restore trust with your OBs? Because they question your decision.
If it's necessary, I will need to show them the evidence that we have found from the investigation towards that certain party or that party leader's allegation, and show them certain evidence that we can disclose without breaching any confidentiality issues, just to show them that, okay, we do our job according to evidence, according to the election regulation, and we do not do anything according to our bias, and everything is done black and white. Everything is documented down really well. You can check whatever you need. Of course, not breaching any confidentiality issues and not sharing any private details of the parties involved.
Okay, thank you. Good answers. Can you
Thank
pass
you.
it back to Saad? Okay, Saad, moving on to the next question. Yeah, we will be still talking about balancing changes and representation of people. So again, scenario. So let's say if you do get elected as the GenSec, you will basically have to talk with a lot of people because they will be going to you for maybe mediation and answers. So let's say you are approached by two different student organizations. Okay, just assume it. They are advocating for policies that conflict with each other's interests and basically what they wanted to be in the first place, right? So just to give you an example to make it clear, let's say one group here, this group, they want a larger space to be utilized on campus for their allocations of some booth, policy changes, advocation of news, whatsoever. But the other group here, they also deem that, so basically they are conflicting with one another. So of course, this leads to escalation that sometimes you can't control, right? And knowing that there are limited amount of space in the campus grounds also, knowing that you are, as the GenSec, you have limitation also, the question is, how will you exactly, step by step, not to achieve the goal 100% of balancing, just at least to try to restore a certain amount of balance because you can't be perfect, about these competing interests, while you are trying to maintain fairness between the two of this group and upholding MUSA's goals. How will you do it?
Okay, thank you for the question. So I believe you cannot make everyone happy, but my goal is to make majority of the students happy with what they need. So the step-by-step approach, I would talk to both the groups separately. I will hear out their concerns, and I will jot them down with myself, and then in the next MSc meeting, I will discuss it with MUSA. Once I have MUSA's opinion as well, like I said, I will be introducing town hall meetings. So in my town hall meeting, I might discuss this and take the opinion of the students. And if a larger amount of students want the larger space to be used for a specific reason, I would definitely go for that.
So first of all, some MSc have a fixed set of schedule. You cannot just schedule an MSc and talk to them at every time you want, just to be clear. And secondly, that this is another curveball that I want to throw based on your answer. What if you are not successful in deploying your vision, right, to do town hall meetings? You are not successful in doing this, so you have to go back to the traditional way, which is the MSc. And you can't do it every day. There are ways to do it, and maybe sunset clauses or maybe policy changes wouldn't work. So let's say you don't have access to this media of transparency, information giving, the MSc. How will you, settle it together with the president, knowing that you don't have the platform to speak it out and clarify after that? Just assume,
So I personally will talk to the president, and the next best approach is to have both the groups debate.
Some of your activities in MUSA and basically the department itself, and basically it leads to chaos, unless their demands are met. So can you let me know how will you plan to tackle such situations if they do occur?
Okay, so I want MUSA to function for the greater good of the community. So I would not want to be influenced by any threats or any influences. Once both of the groups have debated their concerns in front of the president and the GenSec, we will be finalizing a decision based off all the information that we have, be it about their threats, be it about their influences, and be it about their rumors. Thank you.
Sometimes, things like that are not definitely sustainable. Just keep that in mind. But if that's the case, so I want to ask you something about it. How do you justify, let's say, your decision, okay, if the losing group accuses you of biasness and favoritism, and basically, this is just translate to discrimination, yeah. What they claim to you. So how will you address this and justify your decision that what you make with the team is the right one moving forward long term?
Okay, so I will explain the rationale behind the decision that we make. Be it even if it is not in their favor, I will let them know what led us to that decision. If they still appeal against the decision, I will have a committee within MUSA set up that can review the decision and give out their decision then.
Have you ever thought about using data-driven justifications? Because you keep mentioning about counseling, transparency, MSc. Have you ever thought about using data-driven justification? If yes, like why and how will you plan to do it?
Yes, I do, but again, we might not have data for everything because we have evolving student needs. We might not have data, let's say, for spaces.
Even evidence are considered data,
I'm sorry?
Even evidence, regardless of their scale, it's data. So you can't say that maybe there will be no data for something and we will be in the blind, for example. No. So yeah, you can continue. Yeah. So the current version of the MUSA constitution that was last amended and passed in 2021 and it has been used until now lacks clarity on certain procedural aspects of your role as the GenSec. So there might be things that is not written down and forces you to sort of resort to what you think is right if you do the discussion properly. So this is a big problem, knowledge gap, and it can hound you from time to time. Even this was my case also from time to time also. I won't lie to you about that. So let's say there are some lacking aspects in terms of cases and its dispute resolution. So you don't know too much about it because it's not written down. Because you have to know at some point, and there is just no room for you to maneuver around if you don't know about it. So you find yourself having to make a decision out of a currently ongoing departmental conflict between two departments in MUSA. But again, like I mentioned in the first place, the rules are not explicitly defined. So, it's kind of confusing. So the question is, how do you make an informed decision when the constitution itself and the handbook offers no clear and straight guidelines on this?
I will need to have a discussion with the president and the honorary advisory who is in charge of modifying the constitution, discuss with them about the possible ideas and possible solutions that we can have towards this conflict, and if we can possibly construct a certain section of the constitution that can be included as updated in the constitution, that would be great. But if the constitution does not provide any sort of references to this situation that we are having now, then it will just be based on us and our efforts to think of one solution that will help, that will benefit the future of MUSA as well. And if the decision that is applied is going well and giving good feedback, then we can consider implementing that into the constitution so that future MUSA office bearers can utilize it well as well.
Okay, I want to throw a curveball on top of this. Let's say one of the departments that you're trying to settle the conflict with, they don't agree with your decision, okay? And they want to, again, threaten MUSA. We will escalate this with the university's administration and student life of Monash. So this might happen unless your decision favors them. So the question is, how will you react to this? What is your reaction?
Firstly, the decision is made in the accordance of the constitution if available. If not, then the decision is made after the thorough discussion and thorough investigation of the committee of the office bearers. So this decision should be made clear and transparent to them, and they should already have their opinions given through during the meeting that we are making the decision. So anything after that would be counted as an appeal, and I would not accept any threatening because that is just not something official that they should be doing.
Good answer. One more thing on top of it, Let's say your decision is unpopular, so it raises a lot of concerns. How will you defend your actions to both basically the student council and the student body itself, to the subcoms, not just to the OBs? How will you defend your actions if this action that you made is very unpopular?
I will first explain thoroughly to them. You can maybe have a meeting, explain to them why my action is proposed like so, explain the pros and cons, explain to them why I made this action and why this action is thoroughly, I think, the best action that we can have for this particular situation. And if I'm going to open for discussions and suggestions from the members or from the subcommittees. If they have anything in mind that could improve on the decision that is made, I would happily accept that and take into consideration.
Okay, good answer. Now, can you pass it back to Sad? So, Sad, moving on, let's talk enough about the balancing and conflict resolution. Let's talk about policy challenge. Yeah? So, changes is very uncomfortable. Not everyone is willing to accept such things if given the chance. So, assume you are tasked with implementing a new policy together with the treasurers of MUSA, or we call them finance directors, and also the president itself. That requires MUSA departments to undergo maybe some cuts in their operational capacity, governing power, and also authority as an independent division or department within MUSA itself. So this leads to conflict, and they will definitely bash you and other policymakers about this, right? So again, this policy, let's say it's unpopular. At this point, let's assume that several OBs, office bearers, they are trying to revolt against you. They don't agree with your decision, and the ones that you've been making with the president and the finance directors, they don't like it. They are very resistant to it. So the question is, how will you lead the implementation of this policy while trying to ensure that you have good relations and try to at least maintain a clear level of actions and judgment in front of the office bearers, and basically trying to deliver this policy until it's finished, despite the opposition that has been going on in this scenario?
Okay, so before implementing the policy, I would conduct a SWOT analysis and a contingency planning before I move forward with it. Once I have all the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, I will present all of these to all the relevant stakeholders and explain why this policy might or might not be relevant or important to them, and then move forward with it.
Good answer. Nice. So let's throw another curveball on top of this. Let's say majority of the departments in MUSA, they again refuse to comply despite your initial mediation. Let's say they begin to rally with one another, and basically the rest of the subcommittee and the student body against this decision. They are opposing you this time to an even larger scale. Will your approach remain the same, or there will be changes? Can you explain to me how will you handle the situation step by step?
Okay, like I mentioned in my manifesto, I will follow an adaptive leadership. So if they're showing opposition, I will definitely speak with them. I will try to reach a common ground, and I will explain to them how this might be beneficial for them in the long run. But if all in vain, I will be issuing a warning letter to them.
Okay, one last curveball on top of this scenario question. Let's say management skills are important. Do you agree with that, Sad?
I do, yeah.
So how will you manage the fallout if these cuts in operational power, authority, and basically overall funding, let's say, of these divisions and departments negatively impact a major MUSA event? So it negatively impacts the event, it leads to public outcry, criticism, and basically, again, outrage. How will you handle this?
Okay, so once I have all the data, I will review it, and I will analyze how this policy has been affecting the events, and I will see how this policy can be used in the best interest of all the events. And if I feel like that policy is affecting MUSA in the long run, and it is affecting how it operates and its events, I will consider removing it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now, can you pass it back to Bliss? So, Bliss, let's talk about more election issues and how do you plan to settle it if you are elected. So, let's say during the election, halfway through, another scandal breaks out involving multiple candidates, okay? They are accused of bribing potential voters, which is the student, with cash and some consumables that are outlined to be non-distributable items in the election regulations. So they are breaking a rule here. So again, but this is the plot twist. The evidence is compelling, but it's not conclusive, where you can just directly make a statement and a decision out of it. So, and again, you know that you're responsible for investigating these things while maintaining the election's integrity, right? So the question is, how do you proceed with the investigation while you're trying to ensure that at least the election still remains transparent and fair even after these problems? How will you do it?
If the evidence is not concrete, then I believe we should just try to find more evidence first. If there is no evidence that can prove that they have been doing something that breaks the rule of the election regulation, then we will have to go into a further discussion with the committee, election committee, the president, and members involved to determine whether we should disqualify their qualifications or we should proceed with their election. However, in the case that there are rumors that they have been doing this kind of thing, then I think we should take into consideration that there might be some way of finding the evidence because I believe that rumors, they do not come out without any evidence. So it's either in a way that we have to find the evidence to also not only provide the student body that we have our election is transparent and fair, but also to provide the people involved, okay, that you are guilty of this if we found your evidence, and if we do not find any evidence, then to also provide the party involved their reputation and to say that, okay, you are clean of this, you do not do anything of this, then we will allow your election. However, like I said, it's my priority to look for more evidence first before concluding anything, just to make sure, just to be more careful that we do not allow any of this breaking of rules and breaching of the election regulation rules.
Okay, nice, good answer. But what if, one of these accused candidates, this person is a top performer in MUSA. He or she is basically a rerunning office bearer. This person is well liked by the community and also the office bearers of MUSA, basically a student body, right? Will you change your approach and these handlings of the case itself, or is there anything that you want to add? Or maybe you can walk me through and everyone here on how do you plan to resolve this, if this is the case?
I wouldn't change my decision. However, I would add in a communication session with that particular office bearer and to explain to him and to mediate with him, just to explain to him to make sure that we are to ensure the fairness of the election. And as an OB yourself, you should also uphold the standard of this election.
Okay, let's say that it's so bad and technically you have to force the team to postpone the election in its steps, basically. Even though it's halfway through already, it needs to be extended. So if postponing the election will cause MUSA to miss critical deadlines with let's say we have many other appointments with the Monash administration or other projects and initiatives, how do you balance justice while still trying to be practical?
If we were to postpone the election to a later date and we have some other commitments with Monash, then I would suggest moving that commitments to delegating that commitments to some of the office bearers currently, having them help out with this condition and to explain to them that we are having this issue with the election, that we have to postpone the election to a later date. Can you guys help with the commitments that we are having, just to make sure we don't disregard any commitments that we have promised the Monash Administrative Party?
Okay, thank you. Can you pass it back to Saad? So, I believe this is the last scenario-based question of the day. Each of you have gotten 5. This is your 5th one, Saad, now. So, I want to talk to you about a dilemma that most OBs face when it comes to decision-making, because after a certain time, you get to know each other and you become friends. But what if these friends of yours is involved in a problem that you have to oversee and solve. So this is the case, yeah. Let's say a really close friend of yours, yeah, who holds a very influential position in MUSA, maybe a division head or maybe an exco, same like you, is caught violating election regulations during a high-profile campaigning period of the election. So this is bad, and it causes a lot of drama. And yeah, let's say, just assume you at this certain point are the only one with evidence, and you must decide, whether to report them or not. So the question is, how do you handle the situation while maybe still trying to maintain your ethical standards and potentially your personal relationships? How will you do it? Will you compromise or maybe what?
Okay, so I always keep my personal and professional life very separately. So I will uphold that if I get inducted into MUSA. And if I'm the only one with evidence, I will, for sure, for the greater good of the community, I will move ahead with it. And then speak with my friend and explain the situation to him, how I have to take this decision against him, and it is not personal.
Okay, good. Let's not add another curveball. Yeah, only 2 this time. Don't worry. So, if this close friend of yours, this person threatens to expose, let's say, confidential MUSA information, because you never know what one person can do in tense situations like this, right? So, this person threatens you unless you protect them, and the decision needs to be aligned in their favor. How will you respond to this?
So I will definitely have an open communication session with this person. I will try to understand their situation and I will explain my situation to them. But in no situation I will go against MUSA and its constitution. And yeah, I will definitely let them know of the repercussions of going against and spreading out any sensitive information about MUSA.
What if this friend of yours is extremely popular within the body itself, and basically this person is supported by the majority of the students because they know about the case already? It's a high-profile campaigning period, right? So with this in mind, how do you manage the potential and the coming backlash that may rise from the decisions that you will be making based on your previous answer just now?
So my decision and approach will still remain the same because I don't want MUSA to be affected. But if this certain person is spreading rumors, I will definitely try and approach them again. And if there's no change, there's no improvement, I will definitely take action against them.
Okay, good answer. Thank you. Now, last question. It's for the both of you, but please answer one by one. I think, Saad, you can go first to be efficient. So it's about document authenticity and integrity. So you're the GenSec, Can you maybe assume, where there's a case that you have to settle a lot of documentation, you have to handle a lot of documents. Basically, it's quite complicated. So the question is for Bliss and Saad. Don't worry, I will repeat it if you want it. Can you explain to me the measures that you will take to ensure that at least the documents that you will be storing in a drive or maybe a project management tool will be authentic, secure, and also it will be it remains accessible, and basically open to the people of MUSA to access. So how do you balance this? Because you can't balance every single thing. And can you let us and everyone know here, how will you handle this administrative part of your duty as the General Secretary if elected in detail?
So before I proceed, just a reminder for this answer, please, for both candidates, please keep it short and simple and straightforward, all right? Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so for the documentation, definitely Drive is a very accessible tool. I will be using that, and to ensure that I am uploading the documents, authentic documents on time, I will be taking out time from my duties, maybe once a week or twice a week, and updating all the documents that are authentic. And I will make sure that they're accessible to all the relevant people in MUSA.
For me, I'll just have every document positioned in exactly in the drive, in the Google Drive, in under the relevant folders. So each department will have their own folders, and each folder will have subfolders. So I have the documents organized really nicely in the folders. Remind all the departmental heads to do so after the meeting or after every discussions that they have them document inside, and only make sure that the Google Drive is accessible to those who are involved, locking the certain documents up. If the certain documents isn't applicable to subcommittees, only allow those to the OBs or relevant party involved. So to make sure that we don't breach any confidentiality and we do not share any third-party information to those who are not involved.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Sad, and please all the best. Yeah, good luck.
All right, guys, can you please give another round of applause to Guido? Okay, so that's a very insightful and in-depth Q&A session from our current Gen Sec. So moving on to the next session would be the debating session between the candidates. So during this session, the candidates, you guys are allowed to ask 3 questions to each other. So you guys will be taking turn asking question. So for instance, Saad can ask Bliss first, and then Bliss has to answer. And then Saad, you have the chance to ask 1 follow-up question. And after answering the follow-up question, Bliss, it's your turn to ask questions back to Saad. But if you guys don't have any questions to the other candidate, can just let us know. So I think we can start off with Bliss first. Do you have any questions for Saad to his manifesto, to all the points that he has mentioned?
Yes, I do have questions.
Okay.
Saad, in the second point of your manifesto, you mentioned that you are committed to ensure that the students are well informed and engaged in all MUSA's decisions. What channels specifically would you utilize to foster this type of transparency? And how would you measure whether the students are actually engaged?
Okay, so for I will have introduced town hall meetings and one-on-one consultations, definitely. And to measure how their queries are being answered, I will have surveys sent to them, and I will have them give a feedback to the town hall meetings or one-on-one consultations, and that's how I'll measure it.
All right, my follow-up question is that transparency is very important, but how do we not overwhelm the students with information? Because we have a lot of information circulating around MUSA. And so how do you balance this transparency, and how do you ensure that the information that you share to the students is concise?
Obviously, when the students will approach me, I will try to keep it relevant to their concern, their issue. And yeah, I will not share any MUSA internal information with them.
Okay, thank you.
So, Saad, it's your turn to ask this if you have any questions.
Okay. So, you promise that services will be delivered with precision. What would you say to students who already feel that MUSA is disconnected from their needs? If your precise system still results in delays or failures, will you publicly take responsibility or just blame others in the team?
I think that in the case where MUSA's institution and their plans are disconnected with the students' needs, it's important that we restart from everything. We can collect feedbacks from the students to know exactly what they need from MUSA, and then plan our future plans according to those needs collected to prevent any miscommunication. And can you repeat your second question?
So if your precise system still results in delays or failures, will you publicly take responsibility or just blame others in the team?
I will definitely take responsibility since it falls under my role, and that is something that I have carried out. And so after that, I will try to intervene and see what I can do to improve that particular system for the betterment of the council and also MUSA itself.
All right.
Is that considered a follow-up question?
Yeah. Just a follow-up to that, what channels would you exactly use to make sure that students don't feel disconnected from MUSA?
Definitely, we'll still need to utilize the MUSA Instagram page, because I believe that is a really good option and good channel to interact with the students. However, I do feel that the MUSA's website has less audience compared to the Instagram page, so we have to consider something else. And maybe we can do some sort of like a newsletter, monthly newsletter from MUSA. However, that might need some consideration because that's quite a big workload as well.
All right, so it's your turn to ask questions. To start, if you have any other questions.
One more? All right, okay. So according to the fourth point of your manifesto, you mentioned that you want to create more opportunities through the forum and feedback sessions. What new initiatives would you want to introduce, and how do you ensure that students do participate and they are encouraged to engage?
Okay, so the two new initiatives that I have planned are one-on-one consultations with students and town hall meetings. So I would definitely be leveraging them, and to increase engagement in them, I will have them properly marketed. As for to increase student participation, I will incentivize these town hall meetings so that everyone's concerns can be heard and we know what's happening and what needs to be sorted out.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes, my follow-up question, sometimes this forum and the feedback sessions, they might not translate into actual actions. How will you ensure that these feedbacks from students, they are actually collected, carried out, and acted upon in a meaningful way to the students?
Okay, so not every concern that is brought forward can be addressed, but I will make sure that the concern that is brought forward, the students are consistently updated with the progress of their complaint or concern. And yeah, I will let them know if the concern cannot be addressed, and I will explain the rationale behind it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so do you have any follow-up question, please?
Yeah. So, you have mentioned that collaboration is key to student development, but what would you do if other departments simply don't share your vision? How will you handle situations where no one wants to collaborate with you personally, and if you're the reason the collaboration fails?
Of course, before any collaboration of any projects cross department, we would have a meeting to ask for the opinions between each department. If they think that, okay, this is not the time for them to have that cross department project, then we will just don't have it. However, this is not only the type of collaboration that I'm aiming for, because collaboration can be in terms of the day-to-day operations communication as well. So it's not merely just project-based, but also it may be communication-wise or just support.
Okay, just a follow-up to that, what if you're the reason a collaboration fails within MUSA?
If I'm the reason the collaboration fails, then I'll just think about what is my mistake and reflect on what I can do to improve this type of collaboration the next time. Maybe accept feedback from the departmental heads or anybody involved in the collaboration to why I am the reason that collaboration failed.
All right.
So, please, do you have any other questions for Sad?
No.
What about you, Sad? Do you have any questions for me? That's all? All right. So I'll take the mic from you first. Okay, so now is the end of the debating session from the candidates. We'll be proceeding to the Q&A session from the students. So just a reminder to all the live stream audience that are watching the debates, if you have any questions, please type in the chat box. We'll be addressing on behalf of you. Meanwhile, if there's any questions from the audience that are present with us physically, please raise your hand, except Guido. Please raise your hand. We'll be addressing your questions to the candidates here directly. Is there anyone that would like to ask questions to the candidates? You can just raise your hand. And also, live stream audience, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. We'll be addressing on behalf of you. There's no question? All right, because I also do not have any questions to the candidates. So now we'll be proceeding to the closing statement for the candidates. So for this session, the candidates will summarize all the key points that they have discussed during the debating session with the office bearers, with the students, with each other, and then emphasize to the students why they should pick you as the General Secretary for the upcoming general elections. So we can start from you first, please.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Guido, for the amazing questions. Thank you, Sad, for the insightful and healthy competition. And thank you to the audience for being here and listening to our manifestos and our debates. So if elected as a secretary, I will do my best in promoting the manifestos that I've listed in terms of administrative, in terms of commitment to service and the collaboration for the betterment of the student. And I hope that everyone would have a great day. And sorry, I hope that I wish the best for everyone and hope that everyone will have a great day. Sorry. Okay, wait, let me do this again. Okay, I hope that everyone will consider our debates, and I hope that you guys have thought of our strengths and our weaknesses, and if possible, can share some feedbacks with us as well. And thank you everyone for listening and being here, and I'll see you when I see you. Thank you.
All right, so Saz is right now.
All right. As I close, I would like to thank everyone who's here with us in the auditorium, in the live stream, for giving me the opportunity to stand before you as a candidate for General Secretary. I just want to emphasize on my candidacy that it is centered on one thing, the students. I am here to represent your interests and to ensure that your needs are being met. And I want MUSA to be a place that learns, adapts, and acts upon everything that is being brought forward. And my goal is to ensure that every student feels empowered and inspired. So let's work together to make MUSA better for all of us, and vote South for GenSec, because why fit in when we can stand out? Thank you.
All right, so that's the end of the debating session for the position of General Secretary. Once again, let's give another round of applause to Saad and Blist. So that's the end of today's session. So the following session will be the last debating session of the entire MUSA general elections, and also the most important position, which is the president. So for those that are available around Monash University, please come forward to Auditorium 1, listen to the presidential candidate debate, because that is the most important position in the entire MUSA. And that's it for today. I would like to thank everyone that tuned in for watching the live stream tune in to watch the live stream physically and also on the live stream in YouTube. But please make sure to stay tuned for the presidential candidate debate that will be happening in a while at 4:30 p.m. So that's it for today, and I'll see you guys soon.